Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new niche challenge. And yes, we are diving back into niche. I know it has been a while, my friends, and do not fret, I have not abandoned our many other stories that we have going in niche, but because it has been a little while and because I'm kind of, getting ready to slide back into our very complex and complicated tales of former nicheling tribes, I thought it would be fun to dive in with something a little bit simpler and a little bit sillier to get used to niche again and give me some time to go through our old tribes, gather up their information, and resume their depth and lore in the near future. And so, I present to all of you the Wild Goose Chase. That's right, we are going to be breeding geese! It is time! It is time to have some fun with some honkers. After having so much fun with Untitled Goose Game, I was just minding my own business, strolling about, and then it occurred to me, what if I breed geese in niche? And that was the genesis of this challenge. So I just had this mental idea of like, wait, could I make the goose from Untitled Goose Game in niche? And the next thing I knew, an entire tribe had formed in my mind. And as usual, I have given myself way too many rules for this challenge in order to make the entire story really enticing, exciting, full of all sorts of little challenges. But as usual for our newest niche challenges, I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details of the rules. I will leave a link to a Google document that will have the rules, which are a work in progress, for all of you to skim through. You can follow along, you can try out your own great goose chase, the Wild Goose Chase as we are going to call it, if you would like. But the general idea, my friends, is that we shall honor the great honking goose by seeking to become the great goose. So we are going to try to have some nichelings born in our tribe who have white body type, feathers on both arms, in other words, wings on both arms, orange/red-brown beak. We also want to have webbed hind feet and any type of tail. I don't really care what type of tail you have, but you need to be able to be a goose. So I'm thinking fishing tail would be really good. And we're also going to try, after we breed up that specific look of goose, to find the Great Migration and head towards the Archipelago Islands, where you have the land broken up into all of the little island dots, and that is where we shall call home for our geese. And once we get 6 geese who look like the great goose with white body type, wings on both arms, orange, red, brown beak, webbed hind feet, and any type of tail, and once we get ourselves to the Archipelago Islands, we will consider the challenge complete. And the tribe culture is going to be really fun. I have a lot of very detailed rules that you guys don't need to worry about now unless you're interested in them. Again, just check out the video description for the link. But the tribe culture is really what you guys are going to enjoy, I think, because we are going to honk as much as possible upon every tree stump that we find. We are going to be extremely territorial, as a goose is, especially when we have nestlings, thank you very much. And we are going to patrol our territory with due diligence. We will only have one mate for life. So not until that mate dies. We will only be allowed one mate for the entire life of that nicheling. So we will want to pick very carefully when it comes to mates. And we also have a goal of eating all of the grass, because that's the only thing I ever see geese really doing, is just chomping through all of this grass. So I hope it's going to be a really fun and kind of simpler than usual challenge. At least it sounds simple if you guys haven't seen the rule system that I made for myself. But I'm going to have a great time with this, and I think that our nichelings will too, because this little flock right here has actually been from a lineage that has drifted away from the skies for quite some time. Only one of their member happens to even have a wing anymore, but they have not forgotten about the great goose. In particular, Feather, right here, has not forgotten about the great goose, and at her insistence, she has been able to convince a small group from their flock, who are very quickly becoming almost like penguins or ostriches with the loss of their wings, to leave with her on a journey to try to find the rumored islands of the great goose and his golden bell, and to try to bring their tribe great honor by actually looking more like the great goose himself. So little Feather has convinced some of her people to follow her, and these poor nichelings are actually our founders of this tribe, and they are also randomly generated. So I was doing freaking backflips when we popped in here, and I realized we already had we literally already had platypus beak, which just had me absolutely freaking out because that's really important to have. We already have white body type on Feather here, and we already had a wing. Like, I was overjoyed to see that we already have a wing, because Lark here having a wing means that we can shove that wing in to his mutation menu and hopefully end up having some flying babies very soon. So that definitely had me extremely excited. I think it's going to be a lot easier to breed up a goose than I originally thought. So I feel like these two, they definitely, as Feather always suspected, have the touch of the great goose on them. A light feather touch, you could say. But that's basically the gist of things. Breeding up a goose, everybody is territorial. Even though they move as a flock, they fight for one another too, because they really want to make sure that, you know, the whole flock does well, but they fight with each other quite a bit in terms of being sassy and territorial of their territory. The different nichelings will have their own territories established by where they decide to put their nest. How many babies and children they can have at one time before those children grow up will actually be determined by how many resources are around their territory. And how big their territory is determined by how strong and goosely attractive they are. So you may notice that all of the nichelings, Robin, located on the far left, one of the more outcast members of the tribe, but also one of the strongest. Fachine, which is apparently a twist on the name Finch. Here at the back, tallest but quiet and shy, a little bit of one to stick to the shadows. To the right here we have the only male of the bunch, Lark, who has been following Feather for quite some time because she does have many of the deeply attractive traits of a goose-like nicheling, namely the beak and the glorious white fur that shall eventually become white feathers. And then we have Feather herself, and all four of these nichelings have a number next to their name. The actual calculations for how I got that number are in the rules, so you can check that if you guys are interested. But the basic gist of things, my friends, is that the stronger you are physically, so your physical strength, plus how many goose traits you have equals your strength in the tribe. Because Feather has beak and she has white body, she has a lot of strength in the tribe. She has 7. And then over here, even though Robin has more physical strength than her, Robin doesn't have a bunch of the other traits that Feather does, so she actually only has 4 reputation strength in the tribe. And the same with Fachine. Even though Fachine is strongest of all of them, she actually has very low reputation strength because she only has webbed hind legs, which do count towards counting as a goose trait. And so she is not as strong as Feather. And Lark, being the only male, will be keeping an eye out on like which of these 3 females will he want to make his mate for life. And most likely, obviously, it will be Feather herself, because she happens to be the strongest. However, there is a very dastardly thing in concern for Feather that we will talk about in just a second. But these numbers next to their name also determine how big their territory can be. Once a nicheling has found their life mate, then whoever has the higher number, in this case that would be, say, Lark, that is how big his territory will be from their home nest. So if Lark decided to have a home nest, like right at this tree, then 8 spaces in all directions would be his territory for him and his family, and he would defend it very aggressively. The only time other nichelings would be allowed into his territory is if they were friends, or if they were his descendants, or if they were chasing some sort of prey or predator out of the overall goose territory. So I think this is going to be kind of interesting, just seeing how their stories evolve and develop, seeing how the different characters really become geese, basically. But we're going to start there with the goal of becoming like the great goose. I'm probably thinking it's going to be easier than it really is because we have such a strong start on the genes we were looking for. But if you look over here, we don't have We kind of don't have the whole like bird beak or platypus beak in our genes right now, so I need to be really careful. I'm like, if I lose these two, then we lose those genes. Getting white fur is easy enough. We have the wing unlocked now thanks to Lark, so I think they brought like a strong background of the flying nicheling genetics into our tribe, but I'm still a little concerned. But alright, so there we have it, friends. Gathering together this small fragment group from their quickly losing their wings flock, Feather is seeking to revive the honor of the great goose and his golden bell. Again, last time I'll say it, check the video description for those rules if you want to know the details. There's a few other cultural things I will explain to you as we go along, but we're going to go ahead and move on. So, let us slip into their world. Now that they have arrived, Feather finds herself somewhat exhausted but extremely proud. A new island, a new land away from the rest of the flock, where there is plenty of space for all of them to establish their territories, to be able to set up their nest, to have many healthy children. This is something that she is very excited and proud about, and that also reflects the fact that she has taken it upon herself to become the leader, the alpha of this flock. And there can only be one set of alphas in the entire flock, and the other one is Lark. Even though they have not formally done their courtship dance in the water, as all of our geese of this tribe do when it comes time to pick a mate, they kind of know that that is the future that they will have. They had much time to talk, to flirt, to clack beaks at one another as they crossed the land bridge and arrived at this new land. And although it was a little discouraging for Fachine and for Robin to realize that the handsome Lark, who, for those nichelings of their former tribe, who were really into wings and wished to take to the skies again, or at least have their descendants take to the skies, well, they're a little disappointed to realize that Lark's eyes will never be on them. But in this tribe, once you take a mate, that mate is forever, and they will respect that. So, now that we're here, and now that Feather goes ahead and she catches her breath for a moment, we'll come back to that in just a minute actually, the others are going to begin to split up. They are a flock, they will defend one another no matter what. They will listen to what Feather has to say, for she has the vision and she has the alpha status. But they consider this whole island their territory, and that doesn't mean that they're going to stay under wing or underfoot of one another. So we'll go ahead and let Robin begin the lead by gathering up some fish to eat. And then she's just going to go ahead and start exploring. So she's going to set off into the waters. That's going to be the direction she wants to go in. Fachine is more of a hunter and a collector, and all of our nichelings are going to enjoy taking apart the grass because that is what geese do. If they don't, I feel like it might be like a no-calorie snack for those of them with beaks. And for those without beaks, maybe they just enjoy like really intricately weaving the grass and collecting it. Oh, I could have just imagined it. Maybe these ones enjoy making necklaces out of the grass and making intricate weavings that they'll like weave along their nest and around their home territory. Oh, I love it. So with that artistic idea in mind, Fachine, she's found some food, is going to begin to head further inland as well. And now that they are alone, we have Lark and we have Feather, catching their breath, which Feather really needs to do, because although it was a very difficult decision for Lark to make, and although it may mean very intense things for the future fate of his children, he has decided to take Lark as his mate, even though she is very sickly, and even though her fertility is not very high. So she smells a little odd, as I like to say with my nichelings, and Lark is a little bit concerned because her family is known for difficulty in having children, but her vision draws him forth. There is something magnetic about her personality, and he can't help but be quite attracted to her beak as well. So let's go ahead and see. I think Lark, for his part, I want to make sure he like 100% passes on wings. I'm really hoping he'll do that. And then we'll have Feather. We'll say she's also from, I mean, clearly we're going to give everybody wings. I'm going to go ahead and give them all wings right now, because they are from a lineage of their former tribe who knew that they used to have wings and they don't want to lose the ability to fly. So they all have left to try to protect that. And then for Lark, I love his platypus beak. We haven't unlocked webbed hind legs just yet. That's going to require a bit of swimming. Yeah, it's going to be harder to breed up our geese than I thought. And I kind of want him to unlock platypus beak while he's alive. That's going to be really important. For him, I just kind of want to make like absolutely sure that his kid gets a wing, but we'll have to see. I think I'll wait on that. I think for Feather, let's go ahead and give her both wings so that her children will hopefully have the chance to just like 100% inherit wings. And I'm going to give Lark white fur. Is that what I want to give him just right now? Maybe to just like start out with a really, really freaking strong push. You know what? We'll go ahead and do it. We'll go ahead and give him white fur because I feel like that's maybe one. Well, yeah, that's maybe one of the reasons he was attracted to her in the first place. Maybe they have some family lineage. But all right. So even though Feather is sickly, even though she smells a little odd, even though she does have a family history of struggling to lay eggs and have children, well, Lark is going to do his best. And they are going to try to become powerful mates. They're going to try to find somewhere in this island a spot with tons of resources so that they can establish a wide territory and have many children for however long Feather has to live. So with that in mind, I don't think they're going to waste much time. Perhaps quietly in the grasses, they'll have a little bit of like beak clacking. Yes, and she's pregnant! Alright, so I can just imagine that they did a little bit of beak clacking. Whoops, and they were supposed to have a courtship first too. So we'll get down into the water. I know this seems silly, but they're formally supposed to have a bit of a courtship where the nichelings get into the water and they go ahead, oh good, we can dig up some food, and they perform a dance with one another. So they were a little ahead of the game, but they had a long time to actually bond while they were on the land bridge on their way here. And so that is probably how Feather and Lark have grown close. But I'm really kind of worried that now Lark has tied his fate and the fate of the wings that this tribe has already into perhaps a nicheling who shall not make it. But Feather, I already really love her. Hopefully she's super resilient and she will stick with us. Meanwhile, the two girls are beginning, Robin and Fachine, to speak with one another a little bit wistfully that they were not chosen by Lark. But there are other mates out there and they're hoping to find their life mate somewhere in this new land. So let's go ahead and see if we can at least get... Oh, look at that! If we can at least get Feather and the others. There we go. Now we can get a little bit of... Look at this! Now these two are just like working with one another to share a big meal. Nice! So now Robin and Fachine are just working together to share like a huge meal of crabbit and clam and fish. So they must be very happy with the bounty here. Alright, and then let's get up into land. Okay, we're gonna have to grab that worm because we really do need to use all of their noodle doodling that we can, aka like pulling up the worms so we can unlock platypus beak. But Lark is going to start setting in towards... There we go. Oh, a permanent nest! Okay, that's really useful. Feather still has a long time left, but she found a permanent nest. She's gonna be pregnant for like 3 more days. Oh, and there's some food over here. Okay, I think that they're just gonna go ahead and probably settle right over here, is my thoughts. Let's see how this goes. I think Feather knows she can't afford to go really, really far away. And the good news is we're next to a berry bush, so that's one resource. And we're next to a tree, and because she has 7, then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So she'd have... Oh my gosh, she'd have a ton of... Whoever gets a tree, like you have whatever resource tile would drop the fruit. So she's got a ton of food here. This is perfect. They're gonna claim this as their territory. I think that Feather has decided, like, she's just like, it was meant to be. Clearly, she was supposed to be able to claim this as her own home. Clearly, this is meant to be like the place that she and Lark shall raise their children. There's plenty of food in this space. They can already have at least 2 children because there's like 2, like they can have a ton of children. I think they can have as many as Feather can have because the rule is you have to have a renewable resource in the area that you set up your nest. And this is a bountiful land, so we can really have as many children as we want here. Very wonderful. All right, I think Lark will be quite happy about this. Oh, and he has Digging Paw? What? I didn't even notice he had Digging Paw. How freaking useful. My gosh, they're gonna really have a great time of this. What a good wild goose chase. And meanwhile down here, Robin and Ficine are just like gathering up their own bounty of food and able to like share it with each other. I think they're gonna have to get out of the area soon because pretty soon this is going to be patrolled by Lark because this is his territory. We're well, you kind of have to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, even out into this gully is now going to be their territory, and they can be very, very territorial. All right, well, this is going to work out a lot better than I thought it would. I am just quite intrigued to see how the individual personalities will go and how everything will play out with the unique and silly rules that I have made with myself. And also, one thing I didn't mention to you guys, well, and definitely next time we need to do a more elaborate courtship dance, but one thing I forgot to mention to you is that the pregnancies last very long to represent the idea that they are sitting on an egg, kind of like a penguin, with a flap of skin that goes over the egg. And what I need to remember to do in the future is as soon as a female's pregnant, she has to be sitting on the nest. So I will amend my rules for that. But Feather is going to sit here, sitting on her egg, getting ready to hatch it into whatever shall pop out. And then we have two lovely ladies who are quickly becoming friends, who will set out into the wider world in search of a mate of their own, a life mate of their own, as they too dream of their descendants taking to the skies to honk like the geese that they are. But alright guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're looking forward to this silly story in Niche. I'm hoping that it will result in just really fun adventures, and we'll see how quickly we can breed up the great goose next time. So thank you guys so much for joining me. If you could, do please leave a like for Feather, Lark, Robin, and Ficine. If you would like to see this and literally thousands more adventures, do please consider subscribing. But most importantly, my friends, stay curious. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!